Who wins? Iowa State or Okie State? Drop a comment down below before I get into this discussion. So this is going to be an exciting weekend of wrestling. I don't know if it can live up to last weekend of wrestling. That was such a thriller of a weekend. I have all the updates here on the channel if you haven't checked that out yet, but there are going to be some great matches here. So Okie State in Northern Iowa is actually live on Flow Wrestling this weekend, and then Okie State versus Iowa State. I'm still trying to figure out where that is because it's not shown anywhere where that's going to be, but it is at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, which is January 30th. So Okie State taking on Iowa State. Number 13, Iowa State, who's 4-1 right now, with one loss to Mizzou. And it was kind of, even though they had a couple of guys out of the lineup in Iowa State, they got beat pretty bad. Mizzou's pretty good this year. They really are. But they do have a recent win over Oklahoma, which came down to Grummel, which came down to the heavyweight bout. And that could happen again in this match against Okie State. So their last win, the last win that Iowa State had over Oklahoma State was in 2010. I know it's hard to believe, but 2010 was the last time Iowa State beat Oklahoma State, and that's when they still had Jake Farner and Andrew Long. So that, which is kind of a interesting transition that ended up pursuing there. So Okie State 5-0 right now, but to be honest, not a bunch of crazy wins. And really, Iowa State doesn't have a bunch of really good wins either. A lot of them are over like D2 teams, but the Okie State has wins over Oregon State, Little Rock, and Air Force right now, upcoming against this week, and also some good ones. So, but the big thing here, the big exciting thing here is they have 9 undefeated wrestlers right now. Did you know that? Did you know that Oklahoma State has 9 undefeated wrestlers? Between Master Giovanni, Cade Brock, Bula Allen, Sheets, Whitlake, Plott, Gear, A.J. Ferrari, Austin Harris, all undefeated right now for Oklahoma State. I'm sure that will change soon, but maybe not. Who knows? So let's take a look at these matchups between Okie State and Iowa State. So let's look at these. So I've kind of started to go a little bit a different way with these videos. If you noticed recently, I don't love to just go straight down through the lineup, 125 to heavyweight. That's one way to do these matchups, but the different way I'm doing it now is I'm just looking first at the ranked matchups between these guys, the real good matchups, and then some of the matchups that are going to really be key. And some of these matchups, some of the ranked matchups can actually be key matchups, like at 141 with Cade Brock and Ian Parker, who are 1-1 against each other. Now, Brock has the recent win at the 2019 NCAA Championships, but Parker more recently has a pretty solid win this past weekend where he beat Dom Demas. He beat him in the last 30 seconds with a nice takedown in the Oklahoma match. So Ian Parker is doing pretty well this season. Now, Cade Brock, is he going to bring the heat again against Ian Parker? We'll see what happens there, but that's going to be a marquee matchup absolutely in that match. And you see here is the Ian Parker. I mean, just what a phenomenal match it was. But Bula Allen of Okie State taking on Jarrett Deegan. Now, this is an interesting one for a couple of reasons. So, Deegan has actually not wrestled this season yet. So, we may not see Jarrett Deegan, and that's the question. Do you think we're going to see Deegan wrestle this weekend? We could see Cam Robinson, who has been wrestling for Iowa State instead of Deegan. I hope we do get Deegan because, I still want the best lineups that we can get against each other. And it doesn't seem like we're getting that a lot of times this year, especially with Iowa State. Now, Llewellyn is actually 3-1 against Deegan, and is actually number 4 to Deegan's number 5 in the country right now in the Flow Wrestling rankings. And Llewellyn has actually the most recent win at Big 12s last year whenever he pinned him. Llewellyn pinned Deegan at the Big 12 Championships, and that should be an interesting matchup should it happen. But right now I'm going with Llewellyn getting the win, whether it's against Deegan or Cam Robinson. I think if he does wrestle Cam Robinson, he'll be looking for some bonus points, and that's going to be key in this match is bonus points. At 157, Wyatt Sheets, number 8 Wyatt Sheets of Oklahoma State, taking on number 3 David Carr. Now, Carr is 2-0 versus Sheets right now. He has one major decision, and he also has just a recent decision. 6-4 was the most recent match at the Big 12 Championships. So the thing is that Sheets is actually kind of closing the gap against Carr. And I'm sure he's only been closing it in that season, while Carr's been trying to push ahead, get ahead of the pack there. And we'll see how that match pans out. I expect David Carr to get the win again this match, and it's going to be big for his team. He needs to get this win in order for Iowa State to get it. And yeah, I'll explain why in just a little bit, because the match is going to be closer than you think. At 184, Colbray is a guy of Iowa State who's also has not been in the lineup this year. It's just unfortunate that he hasn't been in the lineup this year. But Dakota Gear, number 6 in the country, if he does take on Colbray, who is 14 in the country, still currently ranked right now, we'll see what happens there. I expect Gear to get the win, but we could see an upset here. Tate Batani has been wrestling for Iowa State at 184 pounds, and this is a match, again, where Gear could be looking for bonus points if Colbray's not in, but we could see an upset if Colbray is in. Has Iowa State been saving these guys for an Okie State duel? I mean, I doubt it that they're doing that, but Iowa State has been known to do some of these crazy things in the past, so we'll see. And then we have to get into the ranked versus unranked, and I'll tell you this right now, if all these ranked guys, as well as ranked guys who are wrestling unranked guys, or whoever has a higher rank right now, win their matches, and on paper, this is what they mean by on paper, right? So like, if the number 10 guy is wrestling the number 8 guy, the number 8 guy is expected to win, just because he has a higher rank. That doesn't always happen, and of course we know it's wrestling, and anything crazy can go. But if that happens, the match would actually be 12-12. So let me explain some of these other matches. Master Giovanni of Okie State right now is 6-0. He will be wrestling Kaisen Terakina, who's 4-1 right now. Young guy. And Master Giovanni, I think this is a match where you could be looking for bonus points. He just scored a major decision against Air Force, which is probably his best win of the year so far over Cody Fippen. He also has a good win over Fabian Gutierrez of Chattanooga. So 2 good wins right there. And I think that this is going to be a match where there isn't really anybody else for Iowa State. So I think Master Giovanni is definitely going to be looking for the bonus point decisions. As far as 165, Whitlake of Okie State taking on an unranked Isaac Judge. And this is where Okie State's going to pick up some points, I think. It is with some of their younger guys going up against the unranked guys. I mean, Iowa State's, we'll see what true grit they have. I think that's the real thing that we're going to see, is how gritty Iowa State can be. They were pretty gritty against Oklahoma. A lot of their guys were pretty gritty. And some of them held out, and some of them not so much. Didn't hold out so much. So at 174, and Travis Whitlake, before we get to 174, the sophomore Big 12 champ, and no big significant wins this year, but I think we can expect him to get that win against Judge. At 174, we have Julian Broderson and Dustin Plott. This is a freshman battle. Now, Broderson is a top 25 ranked wrestler with a recent win over Mantanona of Oklahoma. And Plott, the true freshman, is just really waiting to make that jump. I think that this could be the weekend to do it with a win over Julian Broderson, the redshirt freshman, who Plott is 5-0 right now. And he had a good win against Air Force, but with that matchup could be interesting. So right now I have the score at 12-12 before we get into these last 2 bouts, which I think these are super important matches. Now, one is at 133. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the return of Dayton Fix. I mean, at least unless there's something that I don't know about, that we're not going to see the return of Dayton Fix, who's not slated to return until the beginning of February. So we're likely going to get Andrew Neiman of Okie State wrestling Zach Redding of Iowa State. Now, if you're not a fan of either of these teams, maybe you don't know about these guys because they're not in the Flow Wrestling rankings right now or any of the other rankings, but this is a key match. A lot of times these matches come down to these guys who aren't ranked. I mean, I remember the match last year at ACCs with UNC and NC State came down to heavyweight with some unranked guys. Like, this is what happens when it comes down to these matches, and you really see the true grit of each team, the true depth of each team, and how some of these other guys are rubbing off, and that winning mentality is rubbing off. So Neiman is 2-3. Neiman of Okie State, the senior, who mostly just wrestled opens in the past couple of years. Didn't even wrestle like really full seasons with a bunch of dual meets. So he's kind of making his real D1 debut this year. Redding 3-2, the freshman, pulled out. This is the thing, is you talk about grit. So he has had a couple of sudden victory matches so far this year. where one he did pull out was against Nebraska Kearney, where he actually won that match in sudden victory. And the most recent one, he lost in sudden victory to Madrigal of Oklahoma last week. So the D1 duel, he did lose that. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how he pulls it off this week. And then the last big match we have right here, and for that match, I actually have Oklahoma State winning by 3. Is actually where I have Andrew Neiman winning that match. But as far as the last big one, and this is a guy that I talked about when I discussed my freshman to watch in 2021, is AJ Ferrari wrestling Younger Bastida, who's 3-2 right now. This is another freshman matchup. Now, Ferrari has been crushing it. I mean, he has absolutely been crushing it so far this season with all of his matches he's won so far by bonus points, 5-0. Look at this crazy shot right here. Now you can see him wrestling. He gets on this shot and just the fastest double leg that I've seen in quite some time. A great double leg and I mean super fast. And I guess that's why they call him fast Ferrari. And I think that you could be looking for him to potentially get some bonus here. And I think that's really where the match can lead up to is if he gets bonus. Now, if Ferrari does get bonus, I think what's going to happen here is what is the final score of the match going to be with all of that happening. I think Master is going to get the win. I think Oklahoma State can get a win at 33. I think that they can also get wins at 49, 65, and 84. I think that 25 and 84 with Gear and Master Giovanni, they're really going to be looking for some bonus points there, as well as 197 with Ferrari. So my prediction right now for the match is that Okie State is going to take away the match, and they're going to win 22-12. 22-12 is my score prediction. Now, if Iowa State maybe gets some of these guys back, maybe they can pull, like if Colbray's back in the lineup, if Deegan's back in the lineup, maybe Iowa State can pull something out there. But 22-12 is my score prediction. Drop your score prediction down in the comments below. If you like this clip and are looking for more wrestling news and discussion, I recommend that you check out the full Fanco Wrestling Show podcast, which is live on this YouTube channel every single week. You can click here to subscribe to be notified of new and upcoming videos, or you can check out the Fanco Wrestling Show on your favorite podcasting platform to listen on the go. Stop stalling and start listening today.